This is a video that I've actually been pushing off for a while now. I'd be lying to you or even myself if I didn't admit that I wasn't at least a little bit worried about AI and how it's impacting web design. Questions like, is it still worth learning web design? Or are all web designers headed for an impending downfall? Those kind of things keep me up at night. So I've done a lot of soul searching and I've done a lot of research. And I kind of just want to share some thoughts with you, some conclusions that I've come to hopefully help you think about these things and make a decision for yourself, and overall just bring some clarity about your next steps. I've got to say from the very beginning that this is going to be a pretty different video from what you're probably used to with the Self-Made Web Designer channel. There's not going to be any fancy animations. It's going to be unscripted. I've got some slides. That's only to keep me from talking forever and ever, just to kind of rein it in a little bit. But I just really wanted to give you my honest and raw opinions, because you'd be kind of blind to not see that AI is dramatically changing the web design industry. It has had a huge impact on really everything that we do as web designers. But is AI impacting web design is a very different question than has AI killed web design, as we are so frequently seeing on all of our social feeds. I think the answer to that question is actually quite a bit more nuanced than a lot of people are letting on. There's this article that came out that said technology is either going to reduce everyone's work week down to 20 hours a week, or it's only going to leave about 2% of the workforce actually working. So a 98% workforce reduction. You want to know when this article came out? 1965. All right, Times wrote it about computers. They predicted that we would either be working drastically less or not many people would be working at all. And I'm not sharing this to say like, oh, see, they got it wrong in the past, and so they're getting it wrong now. That's not the point to why I'm even bringing this up. The point is, we have a really bad track record of predicting how technology will change the way that we work. So rather than try to answer the question of will web design be around in the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years, I think there's a couple of better questions that we can ask ourselves. And the first one is, what is my risk? What's the risk of choosing to stay or choosing to learn the industry and skill of web design? So what's the risk? And then how can I minimize that risk to its lowest level possible? Because you have some choice here. You have some ability in how risky this step is for you, okay? And there's kind of two categories of risks with web designers. There's the skill risk and the client risk. There are all different sorts of levels of clients. And there are certain types of clients that are more risky to serve right now. Okay, so let's talk about these levels just a little bit. First, there's the DIYer. These are folks who they've got more time than they do money to pay somebody else to do the things that they need to get done in their business. So they will very happily learn a skill, learn a tool, learn a platform so that they can be the solution for the problem that they're trying to solve. And these guys, more than any other level of client, are very happy with AI. I'm excited for them. This is making it easier for guys like this or girls like this to get websites on the internet. But here's the thing. These types of clients were likely never going to hire you. Okay, so the folks who are like, I didn't need to hire somebody, I got AI to build my website. Yeah, but you probably never were going to hire a web designer to do what you just did. So at the very best, these folks would come to you when they got really frustrated or just didn't have the time for it, or they couldn't figure something out. So this type of client is very risky. The next level up is the convenience-driven clients. And these are the folks who are highly motivated by the cost, okay? So they want to keep things really cheap, but at the same time, they would rather have somebody else do this for them than they would want to do it themselves. Every business owner comes to a point when they're growing their business where they have to ask themselves, Is it more important for me to learn how to do all of this stuff, or is it more important for me to focus on the things that I'm good at because this is what actually makes our business money? And there will always be clients who decide, I would rather pay somebody to do this for me than try to figure out how to do it myself. Take yourself or me as an example. I can cook a pretty decent meal for my family, but there are times where I would much rather pay someone to do it for me. I don't think these clients are going away. In fact, I know a lot of really successful web design businesses. They serve this particular type of client. But I do think there's a little more risk associated with these clients as it relates to AI, because there's always people who are teetering between the DIY and the convenience-driven client. And so the easier that it gets to make these types of websites, the more they're going to choose doing it themselves. And so there is a little bit of risk here. I still think these types of clients are always going to be around. The pool of folks who qualify for that category is just going to be a little bit smaller. The last level of client is the value-driven client. So the folks who they know just how valuable a really good strategic website can be for their business, and they're not afraid to throw money at. These are the types of clients that have the least amount of risk. And so if you want to reduce your risk as a web designer, my encouragement would be to focus on the value-driven clients, the folks who are much more willing to pay well in order to get a quality product. But here's the thing. In order to serve these guys, you have to keep on continuing to grow your skill set. So let's talk a little bit about the base level skills and what they look like. Down here at the bottom are just what it takes to get a website onto the internet. Designing, learning how to use a builder, and then deploying it or connecting a domain, figuring out hosting if you've got to figure out all of that stuff. If you want to stay competitive with the value-driven clients, you've got to keep going up the skill ladder. You've got to learn things like SEO, data analytics, digital marketing, conversion rate optimization, strategy. These things have never been more important to learn and to develop. But to be honest, these are the skills that value-driven clients are actually paying you for. They're not paying you for these base level skills. And so, because of that, if you want to survive, you've got to really focus on these top level skills that make you stand out from other web designers. And because these skills are so important in the AI, I'm actually working on a resource to be able to help you guys. It's called the High Profit Process. And in it, I'm taking you through my entire system of building websites for clients. Everything from how to find clients, how to onboard them, how to ask the right questions to get the right things out of them, to know what they really need and what they really want, how to build world-class websites, how to launch them without pulling your hair out, and then finally, how to offboard them so that you get good feedback and repeat business for the rest of your career. These are the types of things that are super important to narrow down. And this is the kind of stuff that has taken me 10 plus years to learn and dial in. If you want to be the first to know when it becomes available, there's a link in the first line of the description of this video to join the waitlist. But oftentimes, when I tell people that these are the skills that are going to separate them from AI, we'll say, yeah, but AI is just going to get really good at all of this stuff. And yeah, maybe that's true. But just simply knowing these skills is not actually the most important thing. The most important thing is learning how they all tie together, how they work with and against one another. Because sometimes digital marketing runs at odds with accessibility. And so you've got to figure out, how do I mesh these two together? Which takes precedent right now? Sometimes SEO runs at odds with UX and UI. This happens all the time where you're making trade-offs, where you're evaluating like, which one should I focus on? Which one should I not focus on? And then that changes depending on the type of client, with the type of business, the season that the business is in, what they've done in the past that has been successful or hasn't been successful. These kind of connections take a lot of skill. I've not seen AI be really good at being able to evaluate all of the different pieces of the puzzle and come up with the best picture. In fact, I think it's kind of arguable that our current models of AI will ever be able to do this super well. This is what AI researchers call multiple domains of entanglement. When you have independent domains that could each be a job or a skill in and of itself that are all kind of working together in the same project from the same person. People kind of assume that building a website is like learning how to be good at chess, right? There are moves that you make that you're allowed to make, some that you're not allowed to make. And when you do certain things, you get certain types of reactions. The problem is, web design and web design businesses is not chess. Computers have been able to beat high-level chess masters for a very long time, but we're not playing a game of chess. There's a guy named David Epstein who wrote a book called Range that calls what we do Martian tennis, okay? It's not chess, it's Martian tennis. What the heck is that? Well, he says Martian tennis, you can see the players on the court with balls and rackets, but nobody has shared the rules. And it's up to you to derive them. And, caveat, they are subject to change without notice. This describes building a website for a client to a T. This is exactly what it feels like. This is much more difficult for AI to do, and these type of abilities are growing at much slower rates within AI. And so if you can learn high-level skills and figure out how they're all entwined, it makes your decision to become a web designer or to continue in web design much less risky. But you'll see that I have a question mark here and I've left this top part blank. That's because AI has introduced a whole new set of skills that web designers can learn and put into their businesses. I was legitimately talking with some friends this morning. They're all really successful business owners. And each of them said, I would love to be able just to pay somebody to set up AI to automate more things in my business, to optimize my business to the highest degree with all the technological tools that are available to us. Ding, ding, ding. You now have a new category of services that you can provide to your clients. I know one web designer who, for each of their clients, will build a Google Analytics dashboard, custom to them with all of their branding. It's simplified, and that's what they send clients to see how well their websites are performing. Because let's be honest, Google Analytics is pretty tough to figure out. It's hard to navigate. You've got to kind of be devoted to learning how the whole system works. So imagine being able to come to a client and say, not only am I going to build you a website, but I'm going to build you a system that you can look at to see how well this website is performing. You've just increased the value of what you're able to offer to a client, and you've made the value-driven client much more likely to hire you. This is because of AI. So the first question you ask is, what's the risk and how do I reduce it? The second question, and maybe the most important one to ask yourself, is why? Why do you want to become a web designer? If your answer is, because I need to make a quick buck, I can tell you, and I've seen this again and again, you're probably not going to make it very far as a web designer. The moment you start hitting difficulty, it's going to be really easy for you to say, there's other ways to make money that aren't nearly as difficult. So you've got to ask yourself that question. And can I tell you why I chose web design? It's pretty simple. It's because I love it. I love every aspect of it. I love how all those skills are intertwined, and there's never a boring day when I'm building a website. I love the fact that I can build something that 2 days earlier wasn't even in existence. That's awesome to me. When I was first learning to code and I typed in hello world in my code editor, click save and refreshed on my web browser, and that's what showed up, it was like I'd seen a sunset for the first time. Stuff started singing on the inside of me. I'm like, this is amazing. And I want to encourage you, if you're at least a little bit curious or a little bit delighted by what you're seeing people make with their websites or the idea of learning web design, then go for it. Honestly, I still think there has never been a better time to become a web designer than there ever has been. AI is making it easier for all of us to do what it takes just to get into the room. So as a result, we can spend more time focusing on the high value skills. This was true when I first became a web designer. This was when web builders were first coming on the scene and people were using templates to build their websites. And I was in these forums arguing with old web developers about how there is still good money to be made in building websites for clients. All of them were saying, nah, people aren't paying any money anymore for building a website. And I'm like, that's not true. Like, I just doubled my income by doing this as a side hustle, and I didn't have to learn code. So the question is not whether you're going to be able to have a career in web design. The question is, are you going to mitigate the risk and figure out how to pivot when the market changes? And something people really aren't talking about is the fact that I'm pretty sure AI is way overhyped than the reality of it. And that's saying a lot because I think AI can do some amazing things. But I don't think everybody's being truly honest about its actual capabilities. Evidence of that would be because I've seen those videos where this prompt will kill web designers. And I'm like, okay, well, let me try the prompt and see what happens. I take that prompt, I put it in the tool that they said that they used, and I don't get nearly the results that they're showing me that they got. Coincidence? Maybe I'm really bad at prompting. Maybe I'm really bad at using these AI tools. Not very likely because I use them every single day. Or maybe they're not being 100% honest. GSAP actually just put this tweet out a few days ago. Or are we calling it X's because it's not Twitter anymore? Anyways, they put this statement out. There was a guy who was like, look at these amazing websites. They were only built in a few minutes with AI. Here's what they said. Please don't use our brand to mislead people and undermine the most talented people in our community. These websites didn't take 10 minutes to build. And then they list the designers who built the websites that this person was saying AI had built. And I got to tell you, I feel like I've seen that a lot in my social feed where I'm scrolling through and people are like, look at this website built with AI. And I'm like, no, there's no way that AI built that website. I'm guessing that you've probably seen that too, where it seems a little bit too good to be true. So be really careful with what you're allowing yourself to consume in this season, because it is really easy to get discouraged or to get disheartened because of everything that people are saying AI is going to do in all sorts of industries and fields. And if I can leave you with one thing, it's this. Sometimes you just got to put your head down and keep going. Sometimes you've got to block out all of the noise, even if the noise is your own thoughts, questioning every decision that you're making, and just go for it. Because what's the alternative? Are you just going to sit around and hope that an answer just plops into your lap of like, yes, this is the one job that has no risk of being taken over by AI? That's not going to happen. So you've still just got to move forward. I say this every single time I close my videos. If you don't quit, you win. That's still true in the age of AI. If you just keep going, if you just keep trudging through what seems like a really difficult season, you are going to find success. Yeah, you may have to pivot. You may have to adjust the way that you are approaching things or your plan. But if you do that long enough, you will come out to the other side. I've changed careers before. I did the music thing and I was unsuccessful in that. That's the reason why I became a web designer, because it just wasn't working out. But even though I took that bet, it didn't pan out, it was still worth it to me. Anything that I have done has taught me so much, whether it was successful or not. So the skills that I grew along the way have made me to be who I am today. Had I not done music, I would not have been as good of a web designer. And so you never know the decisions that you make or the path that you take, what it's going to do for you in the future. But it will always be worth it. I hope this helps you. I hope you're excited about learning web design, because I'm actually excited about our future. I'm able to do things with AI that I have never done before on websites, and that gets me really psyched. And if you want help in that process, that's exactly what the high profit process is for. It's not just a course. It's everything that I've built and developed, from SOPs to systems, project hubs, all the questionnaires, the tactics with talking to a client for the first time. It's all in one place so that you don't have to have as hard of a time in this season or as hard of a time as I did when I was first getting started. And if you want to know more, make sure that you sign up for the wait list. The link is in the first line of the description. But hey, keep going. Keep fighting. Keep blocking out the noise. I actually think it won't be long before all of this kind of settles. And when it does, you're going to be glad that you just went for it in web design. And don't forget, if you don't quit, you win.